of the Guardians. From the studio that brought you Happy Feet, they brought us another animated film that features birds, but in here, they replaced the musical parts with epic flying and fighting scenes. Also, it's the first time that director Zack Snyder, the man behind such epic films like 300 and Watchmen, has jumped into animation. But can this film live up to be a legend? Or should they change the title into The Owls of Gahoo Gives a Crap? Let's find out. The story. Sadly, the story isn't really the strong point for this, which is not good for a fantasy film. It's that story that you most likely heard of before, where this guy dreams to be in this legendary group, and then one day he's in, but it's not like what he thought it was. The best way to explain this is that you take blue skies as robots, and you make it darker and put in owls. However, even though the plot itself is generic, it gets some points for the content. What I mean is how they explain who the characters are, why they do their actions, and how they do it. It's actually darker than the average animated film, which makes it more interesting to an older audience. Don't get me wrong, kids can see this too, but be there for some scenes because they do get freaky. But even though what they explain to us is pretty good, it's the plot itself that we experience one too many times. The animation. If you have ever seen clips of the film or a trailer of it, you might think that it looks awesome. Well, it's not. You cannot call the animation of this film just awesome. This is the closest we got for animation looking exactly like real life. If you have seen the background animation, it is amazing on how much detail that they put in. The character design is also the same. The owls really do look like real owls, and even the animation helps a lot for that. But even that's not the big selling point for me. The real selling point is when the owls fly. The many flying scenes in this film are even better than the ones in How to Train Your Dragon. You wouldn't believe where they flew and make the animation fantastic. Of course, they fly through the air, but they also go in a storm, in a blizzard, even in a fire. How awesome is that? But there is one thing that I do have mixed feelings with: the slow motion. There's apparently a lot in this film. There are some scenes that really do work, and it adds into the effect of the scene, but then there would be times like in the fight scenes where it would go slow motion every 2 seconds. It's like having a large bucket of ice cream. Of course, you'll enjoy it, but you're not gonna have all of it. There's too much. Now, I heard that it's because it's what director Zack Snyder likes to do, and he said that he cut back on the slow motion for this film, but maybe it's because I'm not really used to it yet. This is one of those extremely rare cases where the animation of an animated film is better than the ones made by Pixar. And yes, people, I just said that. The characters. Now let's start with the main one, Soren. Personally, I like this guy because I could see a little bit of myself in him. A dreamer who wants to be in something big. But on the other hand, that's what they generally put as the main character in a story like this, so let's move on. Gylfi, the small buddy, is alright. He's not annoying, but he doesn't leave a big impact to the film. Twilight and Digger are the comic reliefs of this, and I have mixed feelings with them. There are times when they're funny, but there are also times when they can get annoying. Then there's Azil Rip. Do you know how to say this? Anyways, like in this kind of story, he's Soren's mentor and shows him how to be one of the Guardians. He reminds me more of a mix of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mickey from Rocky, and for that, that's pretty good. And then there are the villains, who are the best characters in the movie. Now I'm talking about Naira, Metalbeak, and Clud, And there has never been a villain like them and provided with some great acting since Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Naira and Metalbeak are, of course, evil, and every time you see them, they are ruthless and very threatening. And they don't care that kids are watching. They would go and kill other owls to achieve their goal. And Claude, who is Soren's brother, doesn't really start well as a character. He's pretty cliche, like he's not as good as his bro, so when he's in the evil organization, he stays there because they appreciate more of his talents than the others. But when he's evil, oh boy does this guy get freaky. The characters in all are pretty balanced. They lack a bit on the heroes, but they are strong on the villains. Legend of the Guardians is a lot like How to Train Your Dragon on how the films have performed. They both have a pretty generic story and mixed characters, but they both have amazing animation. But the one who did it better is Legend of the Guardians by a bit. Like the story, animation, and characters are a bit better than the other movie. I have to say that this is a movie I could recommend for those who like more what they see on screen than what it's trying to tell us, like Avatar, because this is truly amazing to look at.